Hey, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Going Deep with myself, AJ Vaynerchuk, and my co host, Vernon Wells. Excited to be hanging here. We got a great guest coming up later, Danny from Coolman's universe, which I'm stoked about. Before we jump into that, though, it's been a really nice, interesting landscape in the world of sports and NFTs lately. Let's start on the sports side. So, pretty cool update for those tracking our athletes on the baseball side. Our client Harrison Bader was traded from the Cardinals to the Yankees, and our client Tommy Pham from the Reds to the Boston Red Sox. So update for those of you following our crew, keep an eye for them in their new jerseys. But on that front, Vern, have you ever been traded? When you were playing, were you traded?
Yeah, I was traded twice, but never during the season. Like
Oh, okay. So
that's
walk
a
me through
whole nother that's a
what were
whole
the
nother
trades?
ball game.
Yeah, what were the trades?
Yeah.
What happened?
So my trades were from the Blue Jays to the Angels in the offseason after 2010, and then I guess kind of during the season, Angels to Yankees. It was like the last week of spring training. So
Got
um, it's a little hectic when it's during a season or at that time trying to get all your stuff from one place to another and hit the ground running. Like at least in the off season, you have time to move everything in and out. But I mean, you look at in-season trades and the amount of trades that went down at the deadline. It was crazy. Like
crazy.
wheeling and dealing and people going
Yeah,
everywhere and top prospects getting moved. And I think for our two guys and Bader and Pham, it's just you have Bader going from one fan base in St. Louis that's just as mild and loving as can be to the New York fan base who's
yeah,
crazy and passionate, and there's huge changes there. But I know the energy that comes with being a Yankee, and it's next level. And then for Pham, going from being a not so good team in Cincinnati to a better team in Boston, there's obviously challenges that go along with that too. So hope nothing but for the best for those two guys, obviously,
yeah.
and for all the families. Like there's a lot of stress that's put on families that people don't think about when moves like this are
Yeah,
made.
so to that point, when you got traded in so Toronto to Anaheim, you said that was in the offseason. What you just said, like that was relatively not too disruptive. Obviously, you were in Toronto for a long time, so it was disruptive, but that timing was a little bit beneficial. What about where were you? Like, did you have kids when you went from Anaheim to New York? Like, what was that?
Oh yeah. I had my boys. I guess at that time were probably 7 and 9.
Okay.
So and they were in spring training with me in Arizona. Uh, Come back from the field and tell them, hey, we got to get to Tampa like ASAP.
Right.
And we packed up everything, and next day we're in Tampa. So it's just the wives and the kids
Yeah.
that have to go through this. That's the hard part because they're the
And
ones that almost are picking up all the pieces to go to the next place.
yeah, and then spring training, that's what, February, March. So like the kids are in school. They're firmly in the middle of going through what second grade and fourth grade. And now all of a
Yeah,
sudden they have to finish up the second half of the year in a completely different city, right? That's a challenge. That's
yeah,
of
yeah. You navigate through different things like
course.
uh, depending on how much time you actually want to spend with your family. There's let's be real, some guys don't want to spend that much time with their family. To each their
Yeah.
own, whatever. That's just is what it is. But my kids were actually doing school at spring training, so
Nice.
our school allowed us to have a teacher that traveled with us
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
those things. So it made it a whole lot easier for us to still
Yeah.
have family with you.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, you were further along in your career. You had the financial means to
Yeah,
kind of set your kids up
to
for
be able to
success.
do that.
Where
Oh
if you
yeah,
were earlier in your career and you had a young family, like it might have been even a bigger headache.
exactly. And thankfully, I didn't have any of those moments.
Good, good, awesome. Okay, so sports that was the big one. Obviously, it impacts our business. Two of our top guys in the
Oh yeah.
league changing spots. NFT wise, I'll riff real quick. Black Card, we're continuing to trickle out more and more info. We just recently revealed the math behind the burn, meaning how many points each VSP is worth, and it's been really cool just seeing the speculation, the conversation around that. So we're hyped. Black Card, is on track. It's coming in the next 2 weeks or so. We're finalizing decisions, dotting I's, crossing T's, and letting the devs test and do all the things that are needed to be done for this to be a smooth launch. So hyped on that front. And then I think the other thing I want to talk about, I'm curious, Vern, for your perspective on this. We hadn't had a chance to talk about it. But probably the biggest story over the last 4, 5, 6 days is Tiffany's, the jewelry company, coming out with, I think, don't kill me if I'm wrong, I think it was 30 ETH was the price for their collab on the Punks NFT. So curious, Vern, like you heard that headline. What crosses your mind when you see and hear that?
My biggest thing was like, what the heck does this mean? Like, I read different speculations of like, yeah, well, obviously, if you're a punk holder, then the world is your oyster, pretty much. Like you seem like you have access to different things that most of the world do not have. So respect to all you punk holders. I'm not one of them. So the whole Tiffany thing was like, sounds great, but I don't really get the value from it. So I'd like to know exactly what the heck it is, because if I were to somehow stumble upon a punk, which would probably be too late at this point, then what does it mean? So I'll let you explain a little bit what since you have one, what you have access to.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I've seen a lot of conversation around the topic. First off, there's a lot of price sensitivity right now in the bear market. So I think a lot of people got sticker shock when they saw the 30 ETH price tag. I haven't dug in enough into the project and even the quality of the NFT and everything. And so I need to do a little bit more research before I talk about the price. But I thought that was interesting. That drummed up a lot of combo. I think 30 ETH was actually trending on Twitter at one point because it was being talked about so much. But the thing that's interesting about punks, especially with Yuga acquiring them, and I don't remember exactly where Yuga is in this process, but similar to Apes, they're allowing punk holders the rights to their IP and the rights to monetize their IP. And so this is an example where I'm guessing, again, I don't remember exactly where the status of the NFT rights are with Yuga and the change to punks compared to what Larva had. But I'm guessing this is a situation where, because of those opened up rights, punk holders are able to create an NFT based on the punk they hold, similar to something that Artifact did. I actually own a pair of sneakers that Artifact did before they sold to Nike, where you made an NFT and you got the physical too. And so I think the rights holding is an interesting discussion. I think obviously punks being able to, based on the sentiment you just shared, create this super high-end piece of NFT jewelry with Tiffany's is dope. But then there's also the flip side where I'm imagining a world where you're seeing punks and ape t-shirts in the bargain rack of Walmart for $10. And so I just think it's interesting when you think about like intellectual property and protecting brand, that dichotomy between, allowing the community to do things as premium as Tiffany's and as discount bargain shopper as the dollar store. So I'm just interested to see how it plays out, over the coming months and years.
Well, you bring up brand and Gucci accepting ApeCoin, like it's
right.
See Web3 now infiltrating the two of the biggest brands that we know of when it comes to jewelry and apparel.
And then Nike buying Artifact, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Artifact for, I don't remember what the number was, but big investment from Nike to go out and acquire Artifact, and it's definitely a good thing for the overall industry. Just that increased exposure and awareness and the validation of it. So it's pretty exciting times.
Does it shock you, like the speed of which? I mean, ApeCoin is relatively new. I mean, it's everything, but it's new. And for Gucci to make this decision with ApeCoin as opposed to something else that's been around that long.
No, it doesn't surprise me because my first career was working with brands, and actually a niche that Gary and I had with Vayner, in the early days, 2009, 2010, 2011, was helping brands innovate and bet on what's new and what's next and what's different. And I think it's a cost benefit analysis, and I don't know how much Gucci stands to lose by accepting ApeCoin.
Right.
What they gain is the press and the conversation and the brand sentiment, like we're talking about it right now, right? And so I think it was a smart, low risk move for them to accept ApeCoin. That doesn't surprise me too much. I mean, at the end of the day, Yuga is a venture capital backed multi-billion-dollar business. It seems surprising on the surface, but when you really dig deep, I think they did a nice job of just doing a simple cost benefit analysis.
Yeah, and it's probably hard to go wrong with anything that's related to Yuga at this point.
Yeah, I mean, at least in the short term. And then I'm sure if they need to change course, they'll change course. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, makes sense.
Awesome, brother. Let's.
What about one more thing, sports related? Like,
yeah, go ahead.
Two icons, Bill Russell, Vince Scully. Like, in a short period of time. Like it's two
My heart.
names that,
Yeah.
I mean, we obviously know our time on this earth is limited, but to know two legends are gone,
Yeah.
as a kid growing up, as a baseball person, the voice of
Yeah.
him, and as a basketball fan, Bill Russell was the man. Like, dude had rings on top of rings, on top of rings. Like it's cool just to be able to have a chance to look back and see what they accomplished in two drastically different ways. So,
Yeah,
to
no, I'm
them,
glad you brought it up. I'm glad you
yeah,
brought it
thank
up.
you.
I think that, like, you said it, and my heart sank immediately, right? And it's
Yeah,
like, I didn't know either of these two people. I don't even really know people that knew them too well, right? Like, I have no actual true connection to them outside of just being a fanatical sports fan. And you're just talking about two absolute legends. I think of broadcasters, I think Vince Scully is probably the first, if not the first, top five easy broadcaster I think of in all of sports, right? And then Bill, like you just said, champion of champions. And it's just like, it just feels like a little bit of emptiness, right? Like they're missed. It just, I don't know a world where they're not here. And even though I don't have any personal attachment to them,
right.
it's just greatness that you can recognize and appreciate. And it's anytime you would see them make an appearance or appear on screen, I don't know how you can have anything but like a really positive sentiment and emotion that comes across you when you see a legend. And it's just sad. But like you said, everybody gets old and everybody has a time, and it's tough. But yeah, that's two big ones. So
Yeah,
sad.
I think even when we pass, I one thing I kind of gauge like the human being on is what people are saying once they pass,
Of course.
and the amount of people that are saying the same
Oh,
thing, which kind of speaks to that is who that dude was. Like, he was a
yeah.
good dude. It's like, hopefully when we're done, we can have at least 2 or 3 people say some good things about us when we're done.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's switch gears. Let's bring Danny on. I'm really, excited to bring Danny on. He's a super talented artist and operator in the NFT space. Somebody that, I've collected for a while now. So just excited to have a combo with him. So we're gonna bring him up. Awesome. So got our next guest for the pod, Danny Casale. Danny is an artist that I've been a fan of. In particular, I've been a holder of Coolman since I might have minted it, if not minted, very, very early days. It's been a lot of fun just to see him operate in this space as a fellow founder. So yeah, thrilled to have Danny here. Danny, welcome to the show, brother.
Dude, I'm happy to be here, guys. So you minted in December or shortly after in January?
It was early.
Dang.
I
It was
feel
like 10
like
years ago at this point, dude, in the crypto space,
I feel like my intuition is that Tyler Schmidt brought it up in our little group text. Do you know Tyler? If you remember,
Of course, dude. He's
Yeah.
the homie. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tyler, maybe he did something with you guys early with 1:37 p.m. or something like that.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that's what led me to it. So poor Tyler, I'm putting Tyler on blast for a second. Brandon, I'm going to need you to clip this so I can send it to Tyler. If you look at Tyler's alpha versus what Tyler's purchasing behavior was, like, he was super early on drift. He sent me where my Vans go when it was like 0.5. He's like, this dude is next. I love the photography. He bought none of it, but he was all about it. And it's just like, so anyway, he had a really nice run in that winter. And I remember specifically him bringing your stuff up. And I just gravitated to it. It just had the vibe. It's kind of like a boring, easy thing to say, but it stood out amongst the rest. And I liked what Tyler was telling me about it. So yeah, I feel like, I don't think I minted it, but I'm pretty sure secondary was just a couple weeks after at the latest.
Dude, no, I mean, I appreciate that. Tyler, in that month of January, which was just so batshit crazy. It was like the first month where it just kept ticking up, and I kept getting more and more attention around the project, trying to suss out what was legit, what was not. And Tyler was one of those beacons of knowledge that I was I was FaceTiming him like once a week during January, and he was like telling me his thoughts and his philosophies, and I'm like, dude, it's good to know people, man, in this space. It's just good to have those good people that are whispering sweet nothings in your ear as you're going through it. So he was super. I really appreciated him during that time, man. That's when it all obviously popped off. What a crazy period, dude. I'll never forget that time in my life.
Yeah, tell us the story of like call it the few days leading up to the mint, and then obviously you guys are still thriving, but the whole industry as a whole had such crazy momentum during the early stages of your project. Like, talk us through that like period of time and the lead up and the short lead thereafter.
Yeah, I mean, me and the team, we were building since kind of this time last year, late summer, and it really did take those few months to build. The dev work and the back end work, all while the illustrations were getting done on my end, took 2-3 months, and then in sort of like the few weeks leading up to the December 17th mint, it really just kicked into high gear, and like in the last few weeks leading up to mint, like we were probably being thrown into alpha chats and people just talking about it organically on podcasts and YouTube videos, and it just kept compounding day by day, and like the Discord blew up like to 4 or 5 times its size, and the Twitter followers blew up to like 5 times its size. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck is about to happen? Like, I had no expectations, 0 expectations, was not sure what to, prep myself for necessarily. And I had some good people, who had like Will from the Littles. Shout out to Will.
Yeah, like Will. Yep.
He had me on his podcast a few weeks prior, and I just straight up asked him, like, dude, what do I emotionally expect here? He gave me some good advice there. But in the final few days, man, like, kind of leading up to like the allow list mint, I was very nervous. That's when the butterflies started creeping in, and I was uncertain as to what was about to happen. And then you have all the worries as to like, is this going to be a smooth minting process? Is there going to be glitches? Is there going to be mess ups along the way? And there was none of that. And kind of I'm sitting in my hotel room with COVID in New York City, just watching, the allow list mint pretty much sell out in the allow list period. And everybody and their mother hitting me up on text and on email and tweeting at me. And it was just like so much energy packed into such a short amount of time. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. And I've been, creating content on the internet for a decade and a half. So it was just almost like a fever dream, dude. And it was also just packed with so much love and enthusiasm, and a lot of good vibes, and a lot of friends came out of that period too. But nothing could have prepped me for mint day. Absolutely nothing.
Well, I mean, it seems like, obviously this whole world is still new. Like, there's still so much that's being learned, so much that's being gathered in this space. It's like you have that much success early on. Like, what have been some of the biggest challenges for you as of late? Like, okay, what do I need to do to sustain this? What do I need? Like, what are the challenges that you embark upon in your day to day to kind of keep Coolman's what they are?
It's a great question, dude. Like, prior to me being anywhere close to NFT culture, I was doing my day to day running of my, Coolman Coffee Dan business, where it's all things Web 2 and creating animations for my, TikTok and Instagram. And, that has millions of followers and, a lot of fans, and doing the apparel and doing brand partnerships. Had a, nice long brand partnership with the likes of like Samsung and stuff. And that was sort of like my Web 2 lifestyle for most of my career. Once I made the leap of faith into Web 3 and my project did what it did, it really did, in every sense of the word, feel like an overnight, multi-million-dollar business was sprout up on me. And I'm like looking at myself in the mirror, like, wearing like socks with holes in them because I'm too lazy to like buy new ones, like just like, dude, like this, my whole life just kind of shifted here. And now I have to figure this out. And I'm very blessed to, be having good advisors in my life and have that infrastructure from my sort of Web 2 business. But it was still a lot of improv. It was a lot of, getting things under wraps as we went. And personally, that was a challenge because all the attention and just revenue being generated in that time was quite stressful, to be honest with you, because I'm all just about the art and the storytelling and making dope shit and pop culture and collaborating with other artists. And then all of a sudden there was all this, these new things, that all these big boy business things that I had to grow up pretty quick in order to manage that. And I'm proud to say that with the help of my team and my advisors and the folks in my life that we were able to do that quite quick, 6-7 months later. But it was very easy to see that if it was, just anybody, it's very easy to fumble the bag and to freak out and to, miss the window of opportunity because it's just so much new stuff sprouted up out of nowhere. It's a company, right? You have to run a company. So, in that moment, I realized like, yeah, this is not for everybody,
No, for sure. Danny, two things. One, I just checked the beauty of the blockchain. When was the mint?
December 17th.
All right. I bought on December 19th. So I was only 48 hours outside.
Nice.
So pretty early and have been a holder since. So just want to put that in there. But then two, so you and I had a great conversation like 2 weeks ago, which led to this podcast even happening. And we talked about, just shared, like I think a lot of founders do in this space, those experiences that you just described. And, same thing for me, right? I'm the co-CEO of a sports agency. And then at a snap of a finger, we sold out in less than 20 minutes. I'm now also the CEO of this other multi-million-dollar business. And so there's things that are great about it. There's things that are tough about it. One thing that I thought was interesting as I was thinking about, us chatting today is that while, yes, both you and I are NFT project founders, we're very different in a key attribute where like you're an actual artist, you're an artist. And so when I think about like the criticisms of Vayner's Sports Pass and what I endure, that's one thing. But I'm curious, like as an artist that is also a founder that is, picking up the chops to also be an operator because you're being forced to essentially, given the nature of this business and what happened. Tell me about the experience of like your art and your business being on display and being judged 24/7, 365 by your holders. Like, what is that emotional experience? I know you love your holders. I love my holders, but it's not easy, right? And so I'm curious, like, I'm not an artist, so I'm not, somebody says the passes look terrible. I'm like, it's subjective and I don't take offense to it because I'm not an artist anyway. I'm curious from your perspective, it's different.
Yeah, it is. It is different. And it's a whole new, again, because I've been been putting my art out there for so long, since I was 11 years old. I've been making YouTube videos and putting myself out there, being vulnerable and being, susceptible to haters and naysayers and critics and whatnot. And part of me was always, used to that. And I think in a way, maybe that prepped me a little bit. Obviously the NFT space is, that on steroids, for better or for worse, attention wise, and just in the speed that it moves. And, everybody, it's the beauty of Web3. It's the direct from brand to consumer sort of relationship. There's no middleman. So those thoughts and opinions directly affect your project and you as a founder. So, and you should listen. You have to listen. So, I think it was definitely a bit of an uptick. It was interesting for the first few months. I was like, I got this. I could handle this. Been doing YouTube for so long, like no stranger to hate comments. But lately, especially with the downturn of the market and a little bit of the shift in the meta and just the enthusiasm levels overall, I've noticed that people are even a little more scared right now, and they're a little more uncertain. And with that comes, emotional tweets and emotional Discord messages and whatnot. And it's important, I think, as the founder to listen and sympathize, and but to not, get too caught up in all that, and to trudge forward with confidence with your vision and be like, here, you guys, we got a beautiful plan here. Follow me, take my hand and everything's going to be okay. Because it is, I'm not going anywhere.
Uncle
Like it's
Cracker. Was that Uncle Cracker lyric quote? Is that what his name was? Who was that? I'm sorry, bad job.
Which one? Did I just quote something I don't even know?
Well, you quoted a lyric like "Follow me and everything will be." I think it's all right. Sorry,
dude. Maybe. Yeah, but it's true, right? Like you gotta lead with that love and confidence, and through the best of times and through the worst of times, man. I remember in a Twitter space that I did in February when the market was great. All my holders were exclaiming, "This is amazing! This is amazing! Let's go!" And I'm like, "Yeah, it really is right now." But I want everybody to remember, even when it's not amazing, I'm still here. Spesh is forever, and maybe they heard me, maybe they didn't, but I specifically want to say that in the best of times because, when something's dependent and as volatile as the market and crypto, you gotta know that it's just going to be up and down. Right. So, but it's been updated ways of thinking, not even month to month, man. I think day to day. I don't know about you guys, but it's been very, you wake up and you sort of be like, how am I thinking about everything, in this moment,
Well, I'm going to get to something a little bit more fun since I get to talk to an artist. So if you had a Spesh in mind and it looked like me with a big nose and maybe a bat or a ball or a hat, can you envision what that would look like from an art person?
Oh, dude. Yeah, man. I mean, it would be
the trait of the big nose would be
dude. See that none of the species have any noses at all.
So I thought I saw a couple of, I guess it may have been the lips of the mouth that could have been.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah. It might have been with the new babies collection. There's a bunch of different babies with noses and everything, but there's a pterodactyl baby that has that big nose, but
I wouldn't go that far. But the profile of it could be a little further. Yes.
Nah, dude, you got that prominent, handsome, confident nose. But it's funny because, thinking back to the original collection, it's like, yeah, I wanted to create such a range of art for everybody, trying to think of, what's going to appeal to just everybody. And yeah, man, just thinking of like who's going to be messing around with what colors and what traits and all that. And I think, maybe we should have introduced some noses. Who knows?
I think I'm looking at the pterodactyl now. Brandon, maybe we could, edit it in. I think there's a way. I'm looking at a pterodactyl that has like a sword. Swap out a baseball bat, put on a Blue Jays cap, and away we go.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the skin tone. I don't know. You can go so many different places with it.
Yeah, check it out. Check out the pterodactyl. Who knows?
Okay, I'm gonna look at that one. But with traits, even with traits, like, is it just your straight art background, or is it a compilation of just the people around you? Of like, okay, I love this trait. This trait I want to make as rare as possible. Like, what's the driving force behind each trait?
Yeah, when I think back to creating the original collection, I literally cleared my kitchen table, got out like 200 Post-its, and just started going and just started brainstorming and sketching. And very, train of thought, just, not double thinking too much, not putting a filter on myself, just going for it. And the ideas that came out that way, pretty much every Post-it was treated as like a layer or an attribute. And, I just kept coming up with more and more ideas. And I have photos from back then, like my whole kitchen table just covered in Post-its. Thinking back to like inside jokes in my own life or inside lore in my own journey. What's relevant nowadays, what's nostalgic, there's like Indiana Jones traits, there's Jurassic Park traits, thinking of all those things, and then like thinking about like what babies and animals people like and can resonate with. With the newer collection, it was the same vein of thinking. I wanted to have people resonate with the art in the same way that they resonated with the original collection, but in still a new and updated way. And so that's when I introduced like this idea of like, okay, these babies are, going to war. They're battling against one another. There's two different types of babies. There's the good babies, and then there's the anti-babies. Which team do you want to play on, right? For good or for evil? Obviously, they need their different traits and artillery. So they have like a bunch of these different types of weapons. The cool thing about, you know, them going to battle, and this is what I wanted to save the chat on here, is the idea that depending on what baby you own, you get an entirely unique experience. The good babies get a different experience in Coolman's universe over the you know, the anti holders, who get a completely different experience and different perks, both digitally and IRL, you know. So it kind of creates a very fun, almost water balloon fight mentality in the community, where it's like, oh, I'm team anti, you know, I can't fuck with you, you're on the good baby side, vice versa. Do you want to stock up on good babies? Do you want to stock up on anti babies? Do you want to have a little bit of both? Who knows what might be smarter for future moves? And so it gamifies the whole experience. And you know, you think back to like Pokemon and trading cards. It's like when you're pinning your characters and your players up against other characters and players, you know, you better have that secret sauce, that special advantage. And you kind of curate it that way. So, you know, really wanted to introduce that element in a gamified way, because people are looking for fun right now.
Yeah.
You know, there's like, every project has been done the same way a million times. Why not have fun with it? Why not take it in a little bit of a different direction? And I think the only way to have fun, especially during times right now, is those community building, community games, community initiatives, really doubling down on the, hey, we're all here, we're all humans, let's not forget that, and let's have some fun experiences and make some fun memories, you know?
No, I feel that completely. I think, you know, it's no secret that this is a bear market right now. And I think that a lot of the projects, there was a lot of rinse and repeat. And I think that probably contributed partly to where we are today, where it just wasn't a whole lot of innovation steeped into the space. And it was, you know, this adjective plus this animal equals this PFP, which means it's going to mint for millions of dollars. And I think it's good that we're getting the course correction. But to your point, I think what's interesting and something I'm focused on as well that really resonated with me when you said it is there's a way, because of the blockchain, these aren't static projects, these aren't static images. There's so much that we could use, you know, just the blockchain for, to make it interesting and to keep people compelled and keep people curious. And then the key point is to further that sense of community. So I've been thinking through a lot of that. We actually, we've got a big event this month for Vayner Sports Pass called Black Card, where it's a deflationary event where people are actually burning their VSPs for a bid to get a black card, and it's a very limited supply. And it's just been really fun to watch everybody speculate, because I've been really laying on the game theory and kind of just trickling out the details. And I think people enjoy using their brains and trying to get an understanding of how the blockchain can just further the experience. So it's dope to hear. I'm curious to kind of go and look and learn a little bit more about the good side, the bad side of the babies, and how that changes events. And
yeah, dude, it pretty much gives, you know, the course of the universe into the holder's hands. And similar to you know, your burning mechanism, you know, we implemented a similar thing with this project called Jar Dude, who is this little dude in a jar who you know, his destiny is to be burned. You know, you throw him into the microwave and you nuke him in you know, in an attempt to get something in return. So it's sort of same raffle mentality.
Yeah.
People have been stocking up on Jar Dudes too, because it means more possibilities and more opportunity. And, you know, dude, it's, you know, it's funny, and it's like, just my luck, I guess, but I accidentally minted one of the 1-of-1 gold, you know, babies in the new collection, totally random. And people are like, that's sus. I'm like, it is sus. I don't know how it happened. I'm raffling it off to the community through like burning of the Jar Dudes, which, you know, again, keeps things fun, keeps things moving, and keeps people's like enthusiasms up. Like, you want people to be like, yeah, it's a bear market, but, you know, we're doing all this cool stuff together, and gives people hope for when it's not the bear market anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the Jar Dude. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did I either see him twerking or humping the glass?
Yeah, he was rubbing his butt on the glass.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's what I thought I saw. It caught me off guard there for a minute. I'm like, oh, look at the wolf go. Okay.
Yeah, you weren't seeing things. We revealed him. We had this very fun, activation where he was revealed at my New York event during NFT NYC, and it was just, dude, it was a dream come true to see everybody. It's like everybody clapping and screaming at this thing that I created that is literally just this little dude rubbing his butt on the glass. I'm like, dude, this is a wild space, man, and I love it. It's so great.
Danny, to that point, all the creating you've done over the years to now the NFT ecosystem, like, what is your favorite part of the NFT ecosystem, the NFT environment, compared and contrast to all the creating you did on YouTube and TikTok and all that stuff prior?
Dude, the relationships, man. I've never made so many powerful relationships. Whether it's on the creative side, the business side, the straight up like, you're dope, you're doing dope shit, I want to connect with you. In just the past 6 months, I've made so many new friends, man. And that's really the only reason I do anything. It's the only reason I went to film school. It's the only reason I decided to drop out of film school and move to LA. It's seeking people and collaborators and other people, trying something new and, kind of like leading into uncharted territory along with me. And just all the people that I've met in the space, even if I haven't met them in person, just connecting with them online and seeing what they're doing with their projects or how they're thinking about everything. It's, I try to think of one other time in history where, you had all these creatives, and then you had all these sort of thought leaders, and then you had all these, devs, and you had all these business moguls and athletes and celebrities and artists and singers and whatever, all coming in together on this, new thing. And just, there's kind of like the Wild West, right? There's no rules right now, and they're just going for it and experimenting together. And I think that's been the most beautiful part of it all. It's brought so many different people from so many different walks of life together through this new thing. Like, hey, nobody really knows where this goes. We're going to figure it out and push the culture forward together. So that's been my favorite part. Even though it sounds cheesy, right? But it's the people that I've been meeting. It's some of the dopest people I've ever met in my life, to be honest with you.
Reminds me so much of Web 2.0, what you just described, right? So I'm older than you, I'm 35, and I was lucky that really the Web 2 era and its prime was in that like mid to late 2000s run, right? So you got YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter all coming to life in that like 2005 to 2007 range. And it was the same thing. It was devs and business moguls and celebrities and athletes and everybody not really knowing what to do with these platforms, but knowing that it was important. And so I had so much deja vu 18 months ago that reminded me of the late 2000s, and even down to the people I was talking to. Like, there was this funny thing with Gary and I where a few people that we frankly had just fallen out of touch with, because everybody has, people are having families and career changes. And it was kind of like a wink, wink, nod, nod of like, this is it again, huh? Like, I literally talked to people that I hadn't talked to in 10 years. They texted me and be like, yo, like, are you on this? I'm like, yeah. They're like,
wow,
we're running it back. It's the same thing. It's here again, right? And I honestly look forward to Web 4. I'm sure in 10 years, whatever the hell we describe as Web 4 is, I just think that advance of technology and that disruption attracts a certain type of person. And so Web 2 had a group, and then Web 3 had a lot of the same group, and Web 4 will have a lot of the same group. And of course, people will get older that couldn't make it in the initial phases, and people will age out and retire. But there is just a certain characteristic and a character trait that I think gravitates people towards this, especially the early days of it.
Dude, that was sort of what my dad pointed out was, he's like, yeah, no, this reminds me so much of the, internet when it first came out, and it attracted a lot of the good people, right? And a lot of the smart people that were doing, using it for the right reasons and innovating and pushing it forward. And then also attracted a lot of the wrong people who were using it to scam. And you see that with like, what happened with like rug pulls and, people doing, shady shit. And with anything new and just so like in its infancy, it attracts, that range, like who's using it as a powerful tool to do things that have never been done before, and then who's doing the same thing but for those wrong reasons. And I'm glad to see that a majority of the folks have been doing it for, you know, the good reasons, and for the you know, the art and for the culture of everything. But yeah, man, it's been the first time in my life, you know, where I was able to live through something like this. And like you said, you know, looking forward to seeing what the next chapter is here.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, with anything good, there's always going to be something bad. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we live in a world where, yeah, I mean, there's so many good things that we can do, and there's so many smart people, but there's also a dark side to some really smart people, and
Sure.
people are looking to take advantage of opportunities, and there's so many opportunities in something so new that this is part of it. And then, unfortunately, people who don't know about the space only point to the negatives, and is trying to break those barriers down of, look, people are doing this in all forms of business. Like it's not abnormal. This is the norm of anything you try to do. Someone's always out there trying to take advantage of someone or something. So I'm for you, and for everyone who's in this space, you want to encourage them, keep doing good things. Like if you find good people, you find people who are trying to make an impact in anything in life that's on a positive nature, not to allow anything negative to deter you from what your goals are. And I think when people hear your story, people hear anybody's story of doing it the right way, and building communities and bringing people together, there's nothing like it. And if we have more people like you and people that are in this space, you're doing the right thing. And that's what I love to see. That's why I love learning so much about what people like you do, but what AJ's doing, what Gary's done for years. And Gary's a machine. Like from the time that I've met Gary, I don't know if you slept since that time, since now. Like that's the energy that I love to see. I wish I had it. I don't, because I like to sleep and I like to eat. I don't think he does either.
yeah. Different breed you guys got. But you know, the whole idea of you know, meeting these types of folks that are so animate and seemingly don't sleep in spaces like this. That's what motivates me, because I'm like you, dude. I love to sleep. I love to like just kind of wake up and focus on nothing but the creative and you know, the art side of things. But it's folks, you know, that, you know, don't sleep and are the ones like pushing the narrative forward, that get so many newcomers into the space to enjoy my art, you know, and to like help drive that new audience and be like, yeah, like, come on in. Here's what people like, you know, Coolman are doing, which, you know, I think that's kind of the model that I've noticed that's been working. And personally, like even my friends and family, like my mom and my grandpa got into the NFT space through what I've been doing, dude. Like, you know, if you were to tell, like my grandpa doesn't even know how to use email, bro, but he you know, is interested in this whole NFT thing. And I think that's just such a clear sign that this is different. And you know, it's attracting a lot of everyday folk, which is what makes something a thing. So right down to my grandpa, man, you know.
So you being in LA, sports, you a fan? If so, of which sport?
Doesn't matter at all.
Dude, so, you know, truth be told, I was always that kid that didn't know what the fuck was going on with sports, man. I'm lucky enough to be in this room with you guys right now. You know, I would probably be, if I was at a IRL party with y'all, I would kind of just be standing there nodding and smiling. But you know, it's it's nice to be able to fake it by being you know, friends with people like you.
Love it. All right, well, let's pivot. One more. As those that listen and watch this podcast know, I'm somebody that has background envy. Vernon completely clowns me with his, you know, video background. I got a little bit better. I added this VSP. I need more things over here too. Your background's pretty dope. Those that are listening are going to struggle a little bit more than those that are watching on YouTube, but they can get the point. Walk us through about, you know, I see a cool cat there. I see some doodles that I'm sure is your art. Walk us through the background, and then we can wrap it up from there.
Yeah, bro. I mean, this canvas behind me was me and, it was like we had some cocktails and that's Klon drew the cool cat, my artist friend, Crocodile Jackson drew the cowboy above him, other artist friend, Wizard of Barge drew that alien,
Yep.
my other friend, Catnips drew Bean is that character, and then being hugged by one of my spesh right there. So we all wrote very there's like motivational messages around there. We have, eat, pray, love, be a friend to yourself and accept your flaws, love yourself, trust the process. Beautiful piece that I made with my talented friends.
Is that a whiteboard that you guys?
That's a canvas. Yeah. That we just spray painted that,
cool.
one random night. Got my, my OG retro spesh cut out there.
Yeah. Nice.
We got some Coolmanified celebrities on those posters there. We got Post Malone and Lil Nas. I just draw on my walls, man, at this point. I never get my security deposit back, bro. It's always just like
It's just like we got to paint over the whole thing. We're keeping it all.
Dude, there's no way I'm not going to customize whatever joint I'm living in, I gotta make it mine,
Yeah. That's great. I'll give you 3 ETH for the canvas.
Dude, it's yours, bro. It's yours. We got some signatures on the back.
I'm not even kidding.
Dude, I want it to go to a good home, bro. I feel guilty keeping cool shit like this.
I can put it. Will it fit over here?
Yeah, dude.
Right?
100%.
Oh yeah, you can make it fit.
That would be a story. All right,
we can chat. We'll chat.
We'll have to figure that one out.
Yeah, man.
I like it. Well, Danny, man, this was awesome. This is exactly what I thought it would turn out to be after you and I had our Zoom a week or two ago. And despite the sports knowledge not being up there for me and Vern, that's okay.
We'll get you there.
Dude. I'm down to learn, bro. I was always just that scrawny loser artist. I gotta grow up eventually.
Well, I mean, I was a scrawny loser sports fan, so it's not too far off.
Hell yeah. No, I appreciate y'all having me on. This is it's conversations like this that keep everything moving, man. And I appreciate y'all having me on.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Going Deep. To learn more about Vayner Sports Pass, please follow us on Twitter @VSPass. Also, don't forget to follow us wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.